CRIS works within the system, within the various sectors. We are not, sometimes it could be maybe perceived that we are a shared education organisation. We're not. We work with all schools, we'll work with the system as it is. All we're really interested in terms of an agenda as an organisation is to promote and encourage reconciliation, which now we believe is very much entwined with educational attainment and benefits also. So we don't pit or see one against the other, we think both influence and compound on each other. Really since 2005 we've started thinking about how do we consolidate our practice, or what do we think we know, what are the assumptions we have about our role, and some of the evidence and some of the work that we're seeing that's proven to have legs basically. So just last year we developed a practice, a model called Good Relations and Collaborative Education, and for anyone who knows us knows that we're a little bit cheesy and we like coming up with catchy terms, so we decided to call it GRIS, Good Relations and Collaborative Education, because there's something in that. There's something about our commitment as an organisation and with the schools and parents and pupils that we work with. For us, the agenda is how to build a more shared and inclusive society. David's going to talk through the 5-stage model that we've developed and launched last year. One of the little booklets that you have is our practice guide that relates to the digital piece that is up on our website for everyone to view. The 5 case studies highlighted in the GRIS model look at the first stage, preparation at an individual school level with a whole school ethos and approach, providing an opportunity and helping people understand their potential role in building good community relations within a single school setting, which helps them prepare schools to partner really well with another or other schools. And that goes right up to, well, Holy Cross and Eton-Derry are our stage 3 case study, and that is about developing a sustainable hub. So some of the ingredients are that about, okay, funding can be an issue, but where we embed ourselves into a particular area, we access, along with the schools, funding where we can. Sometimes it's very much, I suppose, driven by protests at Stormont and whatnot. We do everything and anything we can creatively to try and bring the necessary resources in to advance the work. But the most important resource for us is the human resources and the commitment and passion that school staff have to drive this work. And then moving up to stage 4 and 5 is the Moving Forward Together partnership, which is now just recently developed into a 21 school partnership with every nursery, primary, post-primary, special, integrated grammar school in the Antrim and Randallstown areas. And Philip, we're going to invite a little bit of a contribution from yourself. Philip is the MFT chair and has done a sterling job on driving that partnership from the get-go, which really was in its embryonic sort of stages back in 2009-10 when we started working more in a whole school approach, staff capacity way with Mount St Michael's Primary School. I'm not going to talk too much about our 4 C's, our context, community, capacity, change, but this is how we sort of view our work. Every school has its own individual context, its own community factors. One of the key things we try to build in our work is a sense of community within schools. What we look to try and enhance and develop is a real relational approach to developing this work. But we very much have witnessed that in our practice, where there is increased relationships, where there's an investment in that, where there is increased trust, then people are excited to play a greater role because the benefits and the evidence is there to motivate and carry people forward. We don't see community relations or good relations as particular subject areas. Of course they are, but we see community and good relations as a vehicle for change. And in recent times, we've been interrogating some academic thinking around a common needs approach to community relations. So it's in some ways rethinking the community relations agenda in Northern Ireland, and we would view now that actually gathering together under common needs, seeing community relations as a vehicle for change is something that makes sense, and we'll talk more to the benefits and some of the evidence we've gathered around that later in the presentation. Schools obviously have a critical role to play in communities. One of the very sad things about the falling away from church going, and whatever your views about that, is that those natural community intergenerational meeting places are becoming fractured, like much of the things in our society. So schools are one of the last solid, ongoing, sustainable places where intergenerational contact and relational development is possible. And some of the best examples of the work that we've been, really privileged to be involved in is where community It's actively invited in to support the work and actively get involved with that idea of everyone has a role in peace building, should they decide to take it up or realise what that role could be.
Insights collected through the development of the CRIS Practice Guide and digital media resource. As Lisa says, it's a 5-stage approach, and the practice guide that you have in front of you is designed to be complemented by case study videos which are on our website. And you'll just go on the website and you'll just see the CRIS resource. Very simple, crisni.org is the easiest way to access it. But just to go through a couple of the key points. So the first one there, investment in relationship development, a critical activity with individuals, communities and institutions. One of the things that we found that there was a lot of direction and energy to say you need to share, you need to collaborate, and here are the policy points why, and here's the application guidelines of what you need to do. But when it came to actually building the strong relationships between the schools at senior management level, at tying the institutions together, we found that that was something that was actually maybe a little bit lacking and something that our organisation was able to go in and help with. As Lisa's already said, relationship focus is at the heart of what CRIS does, and therefore relationships are the things that became critical within the CRIS resource as well. Investment in school preparation to partner and collaborate well. In a few moments, I'm going to show you our first case study from stage 1, which looks at preparing to engage in sharing or collaborating with another school. And one of the beauties of the IFI programme whenever we were delivering it is that we were given freedom to go to schools to say, we don't know where this is going to. If you're willing to invest in this with us, we will walk along beside you and we will walk along at the pace of change that your school wants to engage in, and you can set your own goals around your collaboration. But it was actually spending time with the whole school community to go, what is your culture? What are your values? What do you define by your community? Who is welcome in your community, and how do we actually reach out? And doing that in the safety of your own school was critically important. I suppose it's really important for us to say as well that years ago, up until 2010, our focus would have been 80% pupils, 20% adults, and our focus is now completely shifted to being 80% adults and 20% pupils. We believe very passionately that it's the adult communities around schools who actually do need the support and the investment, because that's going to be an investment that's going to keep on going across the decades, obviously with the children leaving that school system after maybe 7 years or 5 years, and therefore investment in the adults for us was absolutely critical as well. Whole school approach and ethos development, so I've already touched on that. Again, one of the things we did a lot of work with was actually let's prepare this well and let's look at what the ethos of our school is. We started to look at a concept of threshold values with this notion of that, what is it that you want people to feel and experience from the moment that they cross your threshold whenever they go into your school. And recognising the fact that everybody is coming at this with different values and different understandings, so therefore it was important for our school to create common understanding of shared values as well. So that's something that the pupils could simply buy into, the parents, as well as all the staff. But it was then making sure that this is something that we wouldn't just go to, let's just include the teaching staff. It was just as important for us to have the person who was doing the lollipop crossing, the person who was doing the after schools homework clubs, learning assistants, the board of governors, and then also looking at pupil programmes too.